Talofofo, and welcome to the Global Pasifika Success Podcast. I'm Andrew Faavali, your host. Every week I'll be chatting with successful Pacific people from across the globe, unpacking their stories and, more importantly, picking out insights, lessons and golden nuggets you can use to live your best life too. All right, so it's great to have Q Quenga online on the Global Pasifika Success Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, brother.
Oh man, it's an honor to be here, man. I'm excited.
How good is it? All the way from LA, owner, creative director of Island Block Radio, which features on the Dash radio family over there in Hollywood. Award-winning cultural music, civic and community advocate, and a proud patriot from the great island of Guam. Our very first guest from the Micronesian region of Oceania. So it's so good to have you on, bro. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh man, Andrew, I'm humbled, I'm excited, and I don't mind sharing. I'm a little bit nervous when the interviewee becomes the when the interviewer becomes the interviewee. So thank you guys for the invite. I appreciate it.
Doing a little bit of a role switch.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Sweet, man. So how's things going over there in the States, man? We're seeing on the news that it's a little bit crazy at the moment. There's a massive stand for injustice, and the Black Lives Matter agenda is rolling out beyond the borders of America. We had a really massive rally here in Brisbane and all throughout New Zealand and Australia. How's it going there, man, for a person based in the States?
It's crazy. 2020 is turned out to be quite a year, right? So in Los Angeles, the mandate, thankfully our governor of California really took this seriously. And, unfortunately, the current administration, and I'll leave my political views out of it, but I truly think that our governor took the right approach, as well as the governor from New York. And, hey, if you don't know everything, you got to build a great team. And that's what he did. So going from the COVID-19 mandate to keeping everybody at home, staying safe, social distancing, to the Black Lives Matter events that is happening not only across the country, but across the globe. It's become a pretty memorable 2020 so far. And I'm pretty sure that everybody out there who was tuned in and listening to this show and watching it on YouTube, you will probably remember this time in our lives for the rest of your life, right? So we're maintaining.
Yeah, it kind of felt like 2020 was going to be a special year, but I don't think anyone could have predicted what happened. What about safety for you guys, and how does the Pacific? How do people from the Pacific? How are they aligning, given that they're another minority in the United States?
You mean in terms of COVID or Black Lives Matter, or which?
In terms of both.
Well, you know what? I think that in both cases, I think it really galvanized our community because we are, like you said, we're a minority amongst minorities out here in the States. I am the eternal optimist, and I love it when people are finding creative ways of, either continuing to work, earn a living and thrive financially. I love the fact that our community gets together and develops communication groups for COVID-19. Shout out to Dr. Reynold Samoa, who is board certified in several concentrations out here. One of the only Pacific Islander Samoan doctors here in Southern California. And he's really kind of called to action a lot of the community-based Pacific Islander serving organizations to really kind of rally together and create like a communications team, if you will. And Island Block is we're super happy to be a part of that. So, we get together with community-based organizations and then several media platforms, from podcasts to the broadcast. And we just really have a unified message for our people. So, in this storm that we call COVID, that we call Black Lives Matter, and the civil struggle that that our African American brothers and sisters are facing. We're finding the silver lining, and we're finding some beautiful stories behind it. So that's how we're coping.
It's beautiful, man. So talk about the podcast and the broadcast. Let's talk about On Air with Q, and let's talk about Island Block Radio. Can you just paint a picture around what that is for us? I know.
Yeah. So
Hollywood, anything Hollywood for us down here in Australia and New Zealand, man, it's just mind blowing. So given that you've got
so cool.
Hollywood and space on airtime, man, can you please explain what you're doing and a little bit about that project?
Oh man, thank you so much, Andrew. Thanks for the question. Island Block Radio really derived from over 2 decades of community-based work, community work between myself and my partner, my business partner, Joe Favai or Joe Sav. And so in working with the community, and it just so happens that the census is around. So the census, for those folks who are tuned in around the world, the census is a very important survey that takes place here in the United States. And essentially what that does is that counts the people of different communities, different ethnic communities here in the States. And as a result of those numbers, that determines the federal funding that is provided for cities, for communities, for ethnic communities. So let's take this back to 2010, and I'll give you the short version of it. So essentially, in 2010, I was an executive director for a nonprofit organization and working along with Joe Favai or Joe Sav. And so in 2010, as a part of the NHPI community, I applied to a foundation for some funding for advertisement. And this was funding that would enable our community to have promotional and marketing material, ad buys, to really get the word out. And so that we can make sure that our people got counted for the 2010 census. So we applied on behalf of the NHPI community, Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander community. And we got denied, which, really kind of struck a nerve with me. So our African-American brothers and sisters, they applied, they got accepted. Our Latino brothers and sisters, same thing. Asian Americans, same thing. And so when it came to the NHPI community, I had to take a really hard look at this. And Andrew, I was pissed. I was heated. Joe was heated. I think several people from the team were also upset. But then when I asked them, I said, well, why is it that all these other ethnic communities got approved and our Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander community was not? And their answer to me was simple. And they said, Joey, they said that the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander community doesn't have ethnic media. And so we don't have Telemundo, we don't have Univision, we don't have BET. We didn't have anything at that particular time. And as upset as we were, we realized that this was in fact the truth. And so what do? Do we expend our energy in being pissed off? Do we expend our energy in being mad and calling people names? Or do we take that same energy and do we build something beautiful for the community? And we chose the latter. And that came in the form of a show called The Barbecue Show, which for all intents and purposes, I didn't know where this was going, Andrew. I think that the radio station just kind of caught me and said, we need a name. And I think it was right before lunch and I was craving barbecue for that moment. So it was The Barbecue Show. And after a while, that actually kind of made sense because we wanted to invoke the feeling of being at a backyard barbecue. You know, us Islanders, we like to eat. Yeah. And so the premise of that show was to highlight community members, community serving organizations. And then the carrot at the end of the show was going to be a live performance from one of our Pacific artists. So, we've had folks like Common Kings. We did Dinah Jane's very first radio interview. And we just, Southern California is really a hotbed of a lot of Pacific music. And it's incredible to us that we know how talented our people are, but it was important for us to make sure that we provided a platform to share that talent with the world. And I'll wrap it up. I feel like I'm talking forever, but that show became syndicated on a station in Arizona, in Nevada, as well as California. Dash Radio heard about the show. They sent somebody out to kind of shadow us. And then DJ Ski and the Dash team said, "Hey, Q, Joe Sav, we might have an opportunity for you here at Dash." And it's been an incredible journey to be able to say that Island Block is the only NHPI station that broadcasts from Hollywood, California. And here we are today.
So give us a sense of the big names in this Dash Radio family, so we down here can understand, man. Because I've researched it obviously, but who are some of the big players in the Dash Radio family? Right.
Yeah. So Dash has close to 90 stations, of varying genres. And, Snoop Dogg has a couple stations. Ice Cube just launched Big 3 Radio. Kylie Jenner has her station. So someone that I actually work with is Sean Stockman of Boyz II Men, and just a solid guy. Andrew, just like that's exactly how I want to meet all my, the guys that have sung the music of the soundtrack of my life. Like, I want them all to be as nice and as down to earth as Sean Stockman is. So, just a lot of really cool people, and that come through the station. We got a brand new location, 25,000 square feet, right there on Hollywood Boulevard, right in front of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's star on the Walk of Fame. And it's incredible, man. It certainly is a blessing, and a long ways from the days of us really taping our microphones in order to not have the popcorn sound and setting up and everything. But it's just been a blessing, and we couldn't have done what we've been doing for the past 8 years if it wasn't for the support of our NHPI community. So thank you, guys.
It's a long way, but it's not really a long time. If that feeling came to you in 2010, we're not really that far down the track, you know what I mean, to get to a place where you're rubbing shoulders with the Snoop Doggs and the Sean Stockmans and that. But man, kudos to you for, that a lot of people have some angst when they don't get their way, especially in the community sector, because and data is really critical. We're facing problems with data here in Australia because we don't really get good data, and like you say, it points where the funding's going to go. But man, kudos to you for taking that frustration and making a really, really great thing come out of it, and see that broadcasting is critical. Where you taking Island Block? Where do you reckon the direction is for
it? You know what? Along with Joe Favai, and I bring his name up several times just because really it was on his hard work, dedication, and passion, as well as mine to create this. I think the next step for us, Andrew, really is to move more towards a more visual platform. So, we've got Island Block Radio, and as a result of that, we've been able to do, events, partnership with House of Blues here in Southern California, been able to be a part of some really cool festivals. But really, aside from all that fun stuff, and it's fun, don't get me wrong, I won't complain. I do have a great time. But really, the mission of Island Block Radio and creating the radio and in the future, the TV aspect of it. Really, here in the States, we don't hear people that sound like us. We certainly don't see people that look like us. There are hardly any Pacific Islanders that are out there, aside from Jason Momoa's of the world and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Of course, those are iconic community members. But really, our mission is really to continue to build a platform for our voices to be heard, for our Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander voices to be heard. And so whatever direction that takes, when we first started, I would have never known anything about a podcast. I would have said, "Oh no, podcast, what is that?" But it seems like, and in with this podcast is a tremendous way to disseminate information, to have interviews from folks around the world. So what's next for Island Block Radio? You know what? It really depends. Technology kind of dictates that to a certain extent. Yeah. So I envision a more visual component of Island Block. So maybe Island Block TV, perhaps.
It's actually timely because the first dude I had on the show, John Tupper, he started Cover Bowl Media, and we're actually in it together. But we've in New Zealand, it seems like a long time coming, but we're getting our first Pacific focused sports show on mainstream TV. So it's a time where everyone's kind of thinking, man, we need those people on the margins to come into mainstream. And I think there's awesome opportunity because the game's leveling out and the people on the margins are actually the ones that people are interested in now. I think those in the mainstream are kind of a little bit exhausted, and now's the time for us to jump in. You talked about Southern California as well, being a place with heaps of Pacific talent. And, back a little bit back further, I remember Cord Brown, I remember Ruche, and, even Brownsville, love Brownsville.
Wait, pause, Andrew. You remember Cord Brown?
Yeah, Cord Brown.
Oh my God, that was my first band I was ever in.
Oh, you were in the band?
I was in Cord Brown.
Oh,
yes, yeah.
Yeah, those were I think for me, anyway, in my little circles, those were the main three that we always used to play in the early 2000s. I think.
Oh, I love it, Andrew.
Yeah, so I was about to ask, where are those guys? Because, man, they really made an impact down under. So what were you doing anyway?
So I actually was in a different life. Well, I didn't know we were going to go here, but in a different life, I was a singer. So I was a singer, and I sang with Cord Brown, and what an amazing opportunity, because from Cord Brown came a lot of very talented musicians that are singing right now. The likes of young Kurt YC. He became one of Trey Smooth, a band called Trey Smooth, who's done music with Fiji and all of them. There's a lady by the name of Leilani Jaster, and she was in the original Cord Brown. She had her own album. Zen again is another amazing songwriter. People don't realize how amazing he is. JR Junior King from Common Kings came from Cord Brown. Tanel came from Cord Brown. I realized early on, Andrew, that all these really talented, young, good-looking Pacific artists have a way better voice than me. So I figured, let me go ahead and switch this. I want to be in music, but let me do the radio part of it. And so I've been doing radio ever since. But it's humbling to know that people on the other side of the globe enjoyed Cord Brown music. Hey, that's cool.
Yeah, we loved it. Oh, man. Yeah, I was going to ask, man, where are they now? Because the Common Kings and all the great, mostly reggae bands that are coming out of there. But I was wondering, where is Brownsville still making music, or?
I know Trent is, or Baby Down. Sorry, I didn't mean to use your government name, Moose, but I know that he is raising his family. I haven't heard really new music from them in a while, but you're right. They've got some classic songs, and so you can hear the influence of Brownsville in an artist like Tanel, who is also from Carson, California. So shout out to them.
Yeah, for sure. So, man, can you just tell us about Guam? Because, like I said just before, people down here in New Zealand and Australia aren't really as connected to Micronesia as they are Polynesia and Melanesia, just because of history and location. So the Northern Pacific is kind of a little bit foreign. Do you mind just explaining a little bit about that area?
Yeah. So let me make sure my audio is right. Yeah. So Guam is actually the U.S. territory. It's a part of the United States that is furthest west. So it's the claim to fame for Guam is where America's Day begins, and this is because it's so far out there in the Pacific, I guess, Western Pacific region. And it's the largest island in Micronesia. And, you know, a lot of Guam is, I would say, like a third of it consists of military base, which I think is a sad thing. But at the same time, you know, I mean, this is it's brought a lot of help to the island from an economical standpoint. But you know, you have people on both sides saying, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? But I'm a proud Micronesian man from Guam, and I've been blessed enough to have parents that really enforced my culture. So, I'm proud to say I'm able to speak, I'm able to sing in my language, and in a different time, I was a musical director for a Chamorro dance group, and we performed all around the world.
How many times have you got, man?
What's that?
How many times have you got? You were at Cord Brown. You were at this Micronesia.
Yeah, you know, Andrew. Like our culturally, we're taught to be humble, and you know, it's always weird to talk about yourself, but you know, I do it not to talk about myself, but more hopefully to inspire, you know, folks who are tuning in, especially, you know, young islanders. Know your roots, know your culture, and that's something that, even though it may not seem like it's an important thing to you right now as a young person, especially when you do things in, like, you know, a place like Hollywood, you really kind of reach back towards your roots, and you reach back towards your culture, and you will be so surprised that things that we take for granted, Andrew, you and I, you know, I could already tell I haven't known you a long time, but people really gravitate towards our people. They can sense a sense of sincerity, of genuineness, right? And that's definitely something that's missing in Hollywood. So when people talk to the Island Block team, or they meet someone like Miss Lulu or Nina Love or Joe Sav, or, you know, anyone of the team, they're always like, "You guys are so nice," and we look at each other, and we're like, "This is just us," like, you know. But I say all that to say, yes, you know, I wear many different hats, and at the risk of sounding boastful, really, at the core of it is, I just want to inspire. You know, our people are so talented. We could do whatever we want, whenever we want. And, you know, I think it's important as older adults, as older Pacific people, that we set an example for the younger ones. You know, if I could do it, I know there's some Pacific Island youth out there that are way smarter, way more talented than I am. And so I just hope to inspire you. That's it.
Don't be scared of being boastful. I think, you know, we're supposed to shine our light and tell our stories, the whole purpose of the podcast. And I knew it was going to be a little bit difficult, because we do feel a bit uncomfortable telling our own stories. And you know, they're just telling stories, but it sounds like they're amazing ones, right? Because when you're saying, when I just brought up Cord Brown, you know, Cord Brown is an album that, as a group, that we jam to heaps. And you just happen to be part of that, and you happen to be a part of this cultural group, and you happen to be a part of this not-for-profit, and then you happen to be a part of this Hollywood radio show that's rubbing shoulders with big players. It might just be normal to you, but actually it's inspiration to us. And, you know, I've always said I'm a bit selfish in the show, and that I love hearing these stories for myself and then others.
I love it, man. I love it.
So you're saying, like, we talk about Jason Momoa and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson,
right?
And what you know, Hollywood. Where do we go to after Moana as a Pacific people, and how do we leverage that? Are there any ideas from the Pacific community up there close to the action?
That's a great question. And you know, I've been on panels and have been asked, you know, to talk about the entertainment industry. Obviously, like we said, Jason Momoa and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, those are anomalies. Yeah. Like, to be A-lister in Hollywood, to be arguably the number one movie actor, action hero in Hollywood is an amazing thing. Where do we go next? I think it's things like what you're doing right here with this show, Andrew. I think it's things like understanding that the entertainment industry is much more than being on the microphone. It's much more than being in front of the camera. Our people are writers. Hey, you know what? Let me take some time to brag on one of our very own Pacific people who is doing amazing things and who is a Hollywood writer. And so a lot of times we think about, I want to be the next actor. I want to be the next actress, the next singer, the next whatever, not realizing that there is a lot of talent. There's a lot of opportunity and career choices behind the scenes. So going back to this young man, I want to brag on, and he just so happens to be from my island, from the island of Guam. Freddie Gutierrez is a Hollywood writer. He's a screenwriter who has written for the likes of Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart. He's done TV shows and written for TV shows for Nickelodeon, for Disney. So there are these, when you ask me, what's next for our people? I want to see our people thrive in all aspects of it, especially when it comes to the entertainment industry. So, don't just, set if that's your goal, pursue your goal, but understand that there's a lot of opportunity behind the camera and not only behind the mic as well. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there's The Rock and there's Jason Momoa, and they're doing really great things and big things in that. And I just love how they always represent. Jason Momoa is always in doing Huckers, and The Rock is always representing Samoa and representing the Pacific, even the way he's labeled as tequila. How proud of him, and how proud is he of the Pacific? But there's also all these other opportunities in other lanes. Anyone else coming up in different lanes?
In different lanes. Well, you know what? I'm sure they are. I wish I had an answer for you right now, but there's a lot of people doing great things. Directing, like I said, Freddie is writing. Did you know that there is a? Sorry, we're gonna edit this part. let me reset. Yeah, so there are a lot of people doing great things. A lot of Pacific people who are doing great things in the entertainment industry. One name that comes to mind is Paris Gobel, who is a choreographer, and she's from Aotearoa. And she's, I believe she's part Maori as well. And she's a choreographer. And she did the last Super Bowl. I believe she did the choreography for Jennifer Lopez. So there's her, there's the Rich and Tone, who are two Samoan brothers who are choreographers as well, dancers.
With Michael Jackson?
With Michael Jackson. Yeah. So it's those fellas. And so, are there people out there? Absolutely, Andrew. There are a lot of talented Pacific people out there. Again, these are things that are behind the scenes, right? It's like those movements are inspired. I'm sure they have choreography that is inspired by Pacific movement, by Pacific dance, and now they're elevating that and exposing that to the world. So I'm excited. I think this is a great time. I think your podcast comes at a perfect time. I think that these folks are doing it at a perfect time. When Moana came out, it was an anomaly to see. You see how everybody from Oceania, we were super proud. Obviously, you're going to have some folks that are critics. Some are more critical than others. But by and large, I'm Micronesian. I'm not Polynesian, but as a Pacific person, I gravitate towards Moana. When I was growing up, my favorite wrestler was Jimmy Superfly Snuka. He's from the Kingdom of Tonga, right? There's nobody from Guam that was wrestling, but I was like, that's my guy. He looks like he could be one of my uncles. Yeah. So there's a lot of great people doing wonderful things behind the scenes, and we're excited. We're excited to see where their career goes.
Yeah, the wrestling realm, man. They've been around for ages. You know, Peter Maivia and King Haku, Tama from the Islanders, and Sika and Kamala. So we've talked about successful Pacific people, man. Just to flip it a little bit and have a look on the other side. You know, you've said that there's so much talent in the Pacific people. What are some of the barriers as to why that talent doesn't maybe sometimes get fully exposed and hit the mark?
Really, I think it comes down to, I mean, this is my opinion. I really do think it comes down to money. Like the bottom line, unfortunately, studios are going to get behind a project that they think is going to have the most opportunity to succeed. And just by the sheer fact of our numbers being so small, they're not going to look at a community. As cool as we know our community is, as amazing as we know our people are, does that really translate to success when it comes to, developing the next movie? I think through efforts from Jason Momoa's of the world and The Rock, I think, it opens some eyes, right? So, that's my thoughts on that.
We've got some good people out there trying to get people to the top of their game and top of their lives, like Coach V, who we were privileged to have on
right
a few shows ago. He's one of your boys, right?
He is. Yeah. So shout out to Coach V. In meeting certain people in whatever we do, you can always tell when somebody's got the gift. Right. And when you can always tell those folks that it is normal for people to gravitate towards these people. And so in meeting Coach V, I've actually knew him, I would say maybe probably close to 2 years before I realized. I was like, what am I doing? I need to have Coach V on a show. This is an amazing speaker, motivational, one of our preeminent motivational speakers, not only in our community, but in our country. And he's part of our people. So I picked up the phone and I said, Coach, what do you think about a show? And, I don't know that he really understood the depth of what I was asking him initially. He's like, I think I'll be on the show. No. What about a show for you? And he goes to something to the effect of, it's been a while, right? But he goes, well, what do you want it to be? What's the format? And I said, whatever it is you want. So I want to say we're close to 2 years in, and the Coach V show, I'm excited to have him on our Monday night slots. It's shameless plug here, Andrew, but shout out to Coach V. Tune into the Coach V show Monday, 7 o'clock California time. And we like to give Armada motivation on Mondays to start our week. So shout out to Coach V, and shout out to Coach V for linking me with you, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks.
That was cool. Yeah.
So what about your show? What time was it on? So that, let's have a plug of this link. What time was it on and what is it about?
Thank you. It's called The Morning Ride. And essentially we're the soundtrack to your morning, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's a unique show. It's a flagship show for Island Block in the sense that, we try to, it's a music show, it's a current events, it's a variety show, but we like to highlight Pacific music alongside mainstream music, and something that is unique here that I don't know that you would find anywhere else here in the United States. Awesome. But it's a morning show. People call in. We got listeners from all over the place. Actually, we got listeners calling in such on a regular basis that I feel like they're part of the show. Shout out to Big E from Pennsylvania who calls in, and folks throughout the states for calling in as well. So we have a good time for sure.
And we can stream this.
Yeah. So all you have to do is just download the Dash Radio app to find all these shows from Island Block Radio. It's a free app, and the folks at Dash Radio, DJ Ski, J Love, Mikey, really have supported this journey for Island Block Radio. We're super thankful on behalf of Joe Sav and myself. I just want to give them a shout out as well, really for taking a chance on a couple coconuts out here in Hollywood, and taking a chance with us, on us, and we're excited to see where it goes next.
Awesome, man. I just got a question about your community work, Joey.
Yeah.
Are you still part of that non-profit organization?
Yeah, so I'm the initial one, no. But I have transitioned to another nonprofit organization, nonprofit that really started, almost 25 years ago. And that's called the Katuran Chamorro Foundation. So shout out to Heidi and all the rest of the board members of the KCF. But yeah, really the mission of that particular community-based organization initially was to perpetuate and promote the Chamorro culture through dance, chant, and song. And, my mom started the group, and she told me, before she handed it over, she goes, boy, I don't want to see you charging the kids to learn the culture. Sorry, that's my mom. Boy, I don't want to see you. Better not charge the kids to learn their dance. And I sat back and I said, Andrew, I was like, I don't know what kind of business model this is, but okay, Nana, we'll go ahead and try it. Thankfully, man, 25 years has gone by, and if it wasn't for the support of the community, we wouldn't be around. I'm a proud board member. So it went from teaching the kids songs and chants and dances to having a early childhood education, a language course. In addition to that, we've created a scholarship fund. There's also the thing that I'm most proud of, or one of the things I'm very proud of, is the fact that we have a Chamorro immersion camp. And so what we do is we have kids come from all over the United States. We rent out a dormitory from one of the local unis or one of the local colleges, Long Beach State or UCLA, and they spend a weekend with us. And throughout that weekend, we hold different workshops with experts from varying industries who are of Chamorro descent. And the whole purpose is to really expose them to higher education, expose them to examples of excellence within our community of different industries, and really broaden their horizons. That's the entire goal of it. Like we said earlier, really to set an example and to show our young Pacific generation, the future generation, hey, if we could do it, you can do it. So shout out to Katuran Chamorro Foundation.
Sure. So just to be clear, the Chamorro people are the indigenous people of Guam. How did you learn the dances? Was it passed down from your mom?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There are certain things that you learn from your parents and that you don't appreciate until you're older, right? Mm-hmm. So in singing, I guess they say in Samoan Pese, or singing the old Chamorro church songs. Mm-hmm. And, as a young man growing up in Long Beach, California, there's not a lot of Chamorros outside of my family that I grew up with. So I'm singing songs in Chamorro that I don't necessarily know the words to, but then you get the look from your mom like, hey, you better sing. And she puts the fear of death in you. And so you got to learn the songs. You got to learn the music. You have to learn the words and pronounce it correctly. And then, I'm super thankful, very blessed that I had a parent that instilled that part of me because, let's face it, the older we get, the less amount of people understand our Pacific languages. And that's the thing that separates us from many cultures from around the world. So.
How do you think we're going to survive given that our language uptake is diminishing?
That's a scary thought, Andrew. We both know that's a fact of the matter. It is diminishing. Am I able to speak it to the effect to the level that my grandparents? Absolutely not. So, how do we make it survive? One thing that here's the thing that I've always really admired about one of our favorite, and I'm just assuming that he's one of your favorite artists as well, Fiji.
Yeah.
One thing that I've always admired about him is his ability to take older Pacific music and redo it in a way that it is now relevant to the younger generation. It's cool to hear songs like Sosafina, right? And then what do you get? You get these young kids who are singing Sosafina, kind of like me, to the point where, like, okay, I might not know every word, but it's resonating in my the dialect, the language is resonating with me, and I'm more familiar with the language through this music than I would be if I hadn't had it. So I think maybe that's a thing, is creating music, creating content, whether it's through podcasts like this, whether it's through Island Block TV in the future, whether it's through Island Block Radio, maintaining that language, creating content in language so that it stays relevant for future generations. Yeah, I think that could work.
Man, I'm a massive fan of Fiji as well. He's been timeless. Because he was around that same time, right? That first album that he brought, Born and Raised, I think it was, back in the day.
Classic
of the 90s. Yeah. The same time, called Brown Riche. And he's been bringing out island music and those traditional island music songs just since then. and he's still going, man. Really,
isn't that crazy? It's amazing that he's not only is he relevant, but he is he's thriving still, and from generational, like his music crosses generational boundaries. Like, there are kids from parents went to his concert, and now the kids are going to his concert. I'm like, this guy's he's just the best. He's like the best to ever do it, in my eyes, my humble opinion.
So, man, let's just try to wind this down.
Yeah.
If you could choose, any musician from the past, whether dead or alive, who would you choose? Who's your biggest inspiration and why?
Wow, any musician, past or present.
Especially for a musician, let's give you two.
Yeah, thank you. I would say, as typical as you probably will think this answer is, I think Bob Marley made music that was conscious. He made music that made people think. He made music to be the voice of the oppressed community. And hey, a song like One Love, how it's not coincidental that the music that he makes is prevalent now, is so relevant to today's situation. So I would say Bob Marley, definitely one.
And I just think about, the protests and that going around the world at the moment. I think about Ambush in the Night and the lyrics of, making, the brothers fight for the same food and the enemies and, giving scarcity. He was just way beyond his time. And he was only like 30 something, 32 or something.
Isn't that crazy? That's so crazy that, and he had a global impact, right, Andrew? So yeah, I would say definitely Bob Marley. Second one, I grew up in Long Beach. To be honest with you, I really didn't listen to reggae when I was growing up. I was more like hip hop and R&B. One of my favorite artists of all times, Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye, just like a soulful guy. And he was one of the first really to, fun fact, Marvin Gaye, fun fact, he was one of the first artists to ever use his own vocals as background.
Oh, yeah. So he didn't use backing vocalists?
No, it was all him. So I would say Marvin Gaye. And then, those are my two.
Oh, awesome. And bro, what do you hope for? What do you hope for the Chamorro culture and in America in the years to come? What is your hopes for them?
If I can broaden that, Andrew, and I know you asked me specifically about the Chamorro culture, but one thing that we've done at Island Block is really try to be inclusive of the entire Pacific, because we're such a small community out here. We like to say Island Block Radio, giving you the best in Polynesian, Micronesian, and Melanesian music, and we like to call ourselves Islandnesian music. So I'm going to answer that for our island people.
Cool.
I just like to say that, what I wish for. I look forward to the day when the world can truly see and appreciate just how talented our Islandnesian people are. And I think once that day comes, you're going to see something beautiful. You're going to see our people thrive. And in the meantime, we got a lot of work to do. And it's through shows, like this. It's through hosts like Andrew helping to spread the information. It's through brothers like, Dwayne Johnson and Jason Momoa and all the poly athletes, island athletes out there. People are they're gonna recognize just how humble, just how talented, and how beautiful our people are. So I can't wait for that day. I hope I'm still around.
Me too. Me too. Nah, thanks, bro. Probably one thing, just out of your experiences, man, I'm just amazed at how broad your experiences are, from behind the mic to supporting your community at a grassroots level, to doing business as well, because I know that you don't get by without having to make money, and you're doing something that you're passionate about, which means you have to get funded for these things. What's one tip that you would give people who are listening that has contributed largely to your success and to the life that you're able to live in this sphere of your passion?
One thing I would say to folks who have been supporting is that the question?
One tool or one lesson that you've learned in your journey of success.
I would say that when it comes to supporting Pacific Island-owned businesses, and I do this. I'm a staunch advocate of this. I subscribe to this theory that there are going to be certain times, folks, and I try to support Pacific Island-owned businesses just because that's the right thing to do, and this is very important. And I feel that there are so many times when, you might have a cousin who owns maybe a restaurant, just for example. Don't go to your cousin's restaurant expecting a discount. If you truly support, it's funny, but it's sad, but it's true, Andrew. If you are truly in support of Pacific Islander-owned businesses, do that with the thought of you're going to pay full price. Do that with the thought of, if you don't support, this business may not thrive. It may not be around. And so as funny as it sounds, Andrew, like it does sound funny, but I would say that that's my mission. If you're going to support 100%. Yeah. Don't support and ask for a 15% discount.
I totally agree. And we see that wherever Pacific people are, unfortunately, down here in New Zealand and Australia, we're asking for discounts of people who are trying to get up. But bro, I really appreciate your time and your expertise and the fact that you've been able to share just some of your story, and even just that little portion of your story has been amazing. Called Brown, but man, I want people to know where you are. So do you just want to plug the groups that you're part of and the things that you're doing, the initiatives that you're doing, so we can
No, absolutely. And thank you for this opportunity, Andrew. Like I said, I was super humbled that you asked, and I'm getting goosebumps right there. You could probably see it, but just follow us at Island Block Radio on Instagram. You can follow me at On Air with Q. And between those two, you'll be able to find me. And I'm really proud. I'm really proud to be a guest on the show. So thank you very much, and thank you to everybody who's tuned in and supported the show.
All right, cool. So we'll have all your links and stuff on our show notes, and our listeners can check in there as to how to get in contact with you. But Instagram is pretty simple. Really appreciate your time and sharing your story, man. It's great to get someone from the States, and it's a real privilege for someone down here to get someone from Guam on the show, because we don't know many Micronesian people here, unfortunately, but we need to know more about the region because it's a big part of us. Thank you so much. As we say on Guam and in the Marianas,
Thank you very much, Andrew. We appreciate y'all.
And for taking love.